We've got audio and we've got video, and let us begin. Shabbat Shalom, my most esteemed friends, honorable judges, LVE tribe, as well as everyone else accompanying us. On this rather precious, radiant, heated day of summer, Shabbat, from California, the US of A, today being the 6th day of Elul, we have entered into the 6th month, which is called Elul, before the month of festivities of Etanim or Tishri begins, of the year 5994 from creation, when 6 years are left in order for us to begin the new millennium, corresponding to the 30th day of August, last Shabbat of August of the year, of the month of August, of the year 2025, which is on its way out. Also, next Shabbat will be already in September, of course, in which we shall study yet another chapter of the Spirit of the Feasts, part 46. I never thought that this whole entire series would be so transcendental for what we are, for to test certain people where their heart is, where their values are. And actually, it's been a test. This series has, and it's still a test. To test our faith. Actually, to test our faith. It is well said. Never before has it been better said. It is a series that can make you to stop listening to the eternal truth or to listen to it with more effort. It is a polarizing series that either takes you to one pole or the other. It is not for the lukewarm. It is a series that is not left just like, oh, yet another, and let's see what comes next. I'd like to congratulate those who have had a birthday during this week, but I have one from last week that we had not mentioned and we just added it. This has been a week old, but either way, we want to congratulate them. It is Micael Baruch de la Cruz, Mexico, corresponding to last week, Micael, and those of this week. Yashira Lisbeth Urbaz, the Dominican Republic. Alan Jace Munoz, Colombia. Gabriel Gustavo Heyer, Argentina. Chusmare Rondon, Venezuela. Sandra Patricia Pineda, Colombia. Jaylen Esther Calvache Gonzalez, Colombia. Rafael Aguilar, Chile. Guatemala. Juan Felipe Hernandez Cortez, Colombia. Jamie Carolina Roblero, which is with us here today. Today, Jamie, who are on your 17th birthday, in which we shall be celebrating your birthday today. So then a very happy birthday to you, Jamie. We'll continue to celebrate your birthday. And also Jacobo Escobedo, who's not here with us, but is also during this week of birthdays. So then a great big hug on behalf of all of us, and also for every one of you that I've mentioned. A great big hug to each and every one of you. Congratulations, and may you be very, very much blessed with our words, our good vibes, because we're the only ones that can bless. When we say, sometimes the people get confused. When I say blessings, they're not blessings of God, because God doesn't bless anyone. We are cursed from the very beginning. They are blessings of our own, our best wishes. What is a blessing? It is precisely a positive word. What is malediction? It comes from diction in Latin, which is diction, which is something dictated, something said. So a malediction is something wrong, something negative. Not in wrong said because of not utilizing the language correctly, but incorrectly said in the second in the negative sense. So then we pronounce the maledictions and also the blessings. So then when I say, may you have many blessings, it is our wishes which we send into the ether, into the air in this universe, and it's got a repercussion. It's got a repercussion. We're not saying may God bless you. If we say that, it is most probable that He will actually curse you and us too, because God doesn't bless us. Those are the polarizing points that this series has caused for many people to stop listening, because they have not been able to process in their minds, in their beliefs, that we were and we are and will continue to be cursed by our Creator. That is the creation. Ever since we are born, we die. And I'm not tired of repeating the same thing, because it doesn't, it's still entering into our mind. It hasn't ended. Sometimes we don't want to accept it. We look for a twist on it, and we're waiting for a blessing that our Creator is not going to give us. Our Creator killed all the people that have ever existed up until now. And that we cannot see. In many cases, we cannot see. I found out this week that people that have followed the eternal truth for 15 years, we're talking about that they were here since 2010. We're in 2025. They have stopped listening and they have left because the only motive, they have not been able to accept that God has subjugated us to a curse and everything negative in our life. And what has happened with people, it is God is to blame for it. They have not been able to digest that. For them, as well as for all of Christianity and Judaism and all the rest of the religions that believe in God, those to blame are humans. Humans are the ones to blame for all the things that we live in and the curses that we take, and even death and pain. It is we're to blame. It is not the blame of those of the Creator. He created us well, as Deuteronomy says. Ours is the stain, as it says there. His ways are perfect. He has no smudges in him. He is perfect. He is love. Those who are ungrateful are us. We deserve the situation that we live in. That has been engraved, injected in our brain ever since we were born. Since the moment in which, and I'm talking about the Christians that have been born in a Christian home, from the moment in which they would make us kneel, since we were little, and to start an adoration to God, asking, thanking, pleading, and asking to be forgiven on your knees. If you have been very Christian, like I was, in a very Christian home like mine was, since we were little, they taught us to, before doing anything, to have an adoration program, to thank for God for everything, for your sleep, for waking up, for everything, for every food, and that just regular. Later in my house, we would have the morning program where we would sing, where my mom or dad would read something from the Bible, tell us a story, and then we would sing a little song. It could be a hymn, or it could be whatever little song from the church. And later another prayer. That's where the first program would end. And then before every meal, a prayer to thank God for the food. Later, afterwards, and that was just for every food. Then if we would go out in the car, another prayer for him to take care of us, and then at the end of the day, another prayer, or not a prayer, but another little home program, a little bit of a worship where we talk about a little bit about the Bible, where we would sing a little bit of something, and where there was also a prayer to go to sleep. If that was the last one, then you could go to sleep, and it wasn't the last one, then before going to sleep and kneeling at home and having a prayer saying thanks for the day that I've had. Thank you, Lord, for taking care of me, and now take care of me that I'm going to sleep now. That was our life for years upon years, daily. And you say, how beautiful, because it has good memories, and it's the family. And they use the word family there. It makes the families together. The family that prays together stays together. It is, if we look at it from that point of view, then it's a lot better than to have a father that's a drunk, that comes and strikes the mother, and has a whole bunch of arguments and the whole abuse of all kinds. Yeah, that's better. It's a lot better. It's like, where do you want to live? Oh, give me the Christian one. Then a home that's a disaster, or a home when there's no mother, or when there's no father, where there's drugs, where we see all kinds of psychological abuse and physical abuse, and you say, oh, that's beautiful, the experience. You've told me, oh, I wish I had two parents that would make me have prayer and sing, read the Bible. Maybe I'd have less trauma than those that I have now. Your experience doesn't matter. It's all disaster. It's all a disaster, because what I have to tell you in this such a polarizing subject, which is the spirit of the feast, is that submission to God, although it may seem beautiful, perniciously it would make us slaves of a God that's absolutely malicious for us, and would subjugate us to a point that when we would hear a truth like the one that I'm speaking about, it would seem horrible. Why? Because I've worshipped God my whole entire life. I knelt down to his knees. I thanked him for the food, for my mom, for my dad, for my brethren, for everything. So then that experience cannot be taken away ever. I'm going to love God always with all my heart, with my whole soul, and all my strength. It is very difficult to break that. Do I comprehend it? Of course I comprehend it. I comprehend all the people that don't want to listen to me. I comprehend all the people that make their stomach hurt. I comprehend the people that leave. I comprehend them all. Comprehend them all. Because we have been so subjugated to this, that to awaken from this and to understand the whole religious system as a weapon to subjugate every human being to an adoration, which could be of different colors, different flavors, different experiences. It could have been Catholic, Baptist, some sort of evangelist. It could have been Methodist. It could have been a Jehovah's Witness, Mormon, Adventist. In any case, doesn't matter the color and the flavor that they have had. They could have been Muslim, where you have to kneel down 7 times a day. You may have been Jewish, like Daniel, that you had to look towards Jerusalem, or else it wasn't valid, with the open windows, or it wasn't valid. The whole rite of adoration to God started to make us slaves to God. But a God that's completely unjust, with a purpose of injustice. It's not that God is unjust or just. No, God is a lot more than that. But in this creation, he showed that role, that face of unjust, because it was part of his plan. It was part of his plan. In order for later, being a part of his plan, to render this creation to people that he considers that would be just. Not followers of his blind ones, but righteous. That is the plan. If God actually were evil, he would never give this creation over to no one. It's his and that's it. It's over. Who can take it away? No one. No one. He would not have done a whole entire complex, elaborate plan to later to never give it to anyone and to always be the bad guy in the movie, or he would never have done such a complex plan in order for no one to love him, or so that they love him, or and that they're always slaves. No, he made an hyper complex program, very difficult to understand, that he was going to play a role of absolute an unrighteous God. It doesn't mean that that's what he is. He is way past injustice, but that he has a plan or a mission, a way of creation in order to form a new God of the earth. According to him, according to his wisdom, it was the most appropriate thing. So then, everything that he has shown about himself is the contrary of being a good God. And the only ones that would ever see this and would rebel against this, having understood there is a God creator, not denying the existence of a creator, because it's very easy to deny it and saying I deny it, but that's not the sense of it. The sense of it is to notice how the creator is, to believe in the creator, to see how that creator would act so as to not act that way, which is what our humanity needs in order to develop a love for the humanity that is whole, not just for a group of people. I, as an Adventist, I never noticed, consciously so, that is, in other words, I did notice, and I would notice it, and I would accept it, but never stopped to consciously start to analyze what type of a God could do a creation and save just an infamous number of people. Because I, as an Adventist, not like any other Christian, but as an Adventist, I was taught that salvation would be basically for the Adventists and no one else outside of the Adventists. In 1844, with Ellen G. White as a prophetess, keeping the Sabbath, accepting the spirit of prophecy, accepting the prophecies explained the way that they would explain them, and seeing that the Catholic Church was the beast, and that the Pope was the Antichrist, and that the Sabbath was a seal, a special seal for his children, and his children were we, the Adventists, and that we had to have all those characteristics without any of them missing, and if one of them was missing, then you would already be lost. It wouldn't keep the Sabbath. There's no salvation, because the law of God is perfect. You have to fulfill it. You have to follow it. And it is the seal of salvation. So then, even if you're Baptist, Catholic, Protestant, or whatever, if you didn't have the Sabbath, you didn't have the seal. I was born with that. And the Sabbath was the seal of God, of salvation. You don't have the Sabbath, there's no seal. And to that, mean not to eat pork, and all the things that Ellen G. White would teach, right? Not to smoke, not to drink, not many things that she says not to do. It's way too many things. Amongst them, for example, cinnamon amongst them, that women can't use pants, all those types of things. But let's take that ridiculousness out of there. Let's go to the point. How many would be saved? The faithful Adventists, because the greater part of the church, she saw in a vision, that would not be saved because they were false. They were lukewarm. The most faithful Adventist, absolutely faithful, those would be saved. And the rest, there's no possibility whatsoever. None. There's just none whatsoever. And those that are dead also didn't have a possibility. Because I was taught, because maybe the Adventists never stopped to think, but I would ask a lot. I was taught that the only ones that have any chance actually were the Jews that had believed up until Jesus, who had followed the commandments like the prophets, like the good people of Israel. And then when Jesus came, there was no Jew that could ever be saved without accepting Jesus. So then that's where the apostles would enter and the people that believed in the apostles, but that continued to keep the Sabbath. Once the Sabbath is perverted with the Catholic Church, Constantine, and all the rest that we understand, salvation has been lost, and only a little group, they would tell us, was left, which were those that lived separate in the mountains. That there's not even any historical proof of this, but that they make it up that there was a little group. Do you remember what they were called? No, not Calvin. No, he's more lost for the Adventists than ever. Yeah, obviously. No, there's a group. Which one? No. No. Before the Waldenses. The Waldenses. It was a little tiny group that lived out secluded in the mountains. They kept the Sabbath. The Adventists, they had such craziness with the Sabbath. Their name was the Seventh-day Adventist Church. In Spanish, it sounds different. In Spanish is the Adventist Church of the Seventh Day. But it was born in English, and in English it starts with the number 7, Seventh-day Adventist. Seventh-day Adventist. Seventh-day Adventist. The most important thing goes first. In Spanish, they put it all at the end. In English, it's Seventh-day Adventist. First day is the Seventh-day Adventist. What does Adventist mean? Is that they're waiting for the coming. Who's coming? Of Christ, their Lord, their Savior. Whom is he looking for? The seventh day. Those who keep the seventh day. And they have the spirit of prophecy. So then, under that perspective is where I was born, with all the absolute critics, with all the others, especially the Catholic one. I was born in a tiny group, and we were whomever we were, and the rest, a little bit the Waldenses, a little bit of here and there some Jew before Jesus that was faithful. No one else though. And when Jesus would come, that we're waiting for the Adventist, and when Christ would come, he would take us, the Adventist of the seventh day Adventist, plus maybe some Waldensian here and there, and the disciples and the followers, plus the prophets of the Old Testament, and those who have been good in the people of Israel, it would take us to heaven. The earth, God would destroy everything. He would kill everything. Just like that, God would kill everyone. That is the Adventist thought. Everything made charcoal except for the devil. The devil and his angels would be left loose on earth, but it's kind of like they were bound because they had no one to deceive. So then that binding that the Adventists taught us, that I believe faithfully, they weren't bindings, but it was the impossibility of deceiving everyone because there was no one to deceive. They were all dead, and the mission of the devil is to deceive. That was his nature. As the Adventists would tell us, that's his nature. If he has no one to deceive, he gets bored. His life doesn't take the mission of his life. He cannot have an orgasm. Only when he deceives, that is his mission in life. And since he has no one to deceive, then he's for 1,000 years bound, imprisoned. He's unemployed. He is off work. He's laid off. Now the Adventists, the faithful ones, plus a little group of Waldensians and some Jews, they go to heaven for 1,000 years. During the time of 1,000 years, they're gonna check the judgment that God already did, and they would use a word specifically, which was the word to vindicate God's judgment. the vindication of God's judgment, which means to see with your own eyes and your reasoning that God's judgment was perfect, that He's righteous in every sense, and they, who are the great, I'm talking about the great majority of people, deserve to die forever. So then they would go and check every case, all the cases of those who died before the coming of Christ, the cases of those who died during the apparition of their Christ, and the case of theirs of why they are there. There was no other person saved. The only ones were those that were in heaven. And if you counted them, there were very few. We're talking about a group that's an infamous number of the millions of people that have ever existed, an infamous group, and the rest, dead. Those who were already dead were already dead. Now, out of those who were dead, and they were worth to resurrect them because of that characteristic, it was very few, mind you, in that very tiny group would go to heaven. 1,000 years, vindicate God's judgment, and say, God is just, they must all die, they must all disappear forever. What is the next step? To go back. That infamous little tiny group with their Christ and their Father would come back to earth, and they'd come back to earth, and the earth was empty and desolate. So then they, from within the city, the heavenly city that came down, which are little tiny bad, their Jesus would resurrect all the wicked that have ever existed, with the exception of some, because Ellen G. White would say those people like the indigenous people, the indigenous tribes, or people with mental problems, those people, or slaves that never had a chance of anything, those people, Ellen G. White says, it says the mercy of God is so great that He's not going to resurrect them again. It's kind of like as if they never existed. Don't you worry about the Indians or wherever you come from. Don't worry about it. Your grandparents, your ancestors, don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. They will be as if they never existed. I don't know where you came from, but those, as if they never existed. They did exist, but let's act as if they never existed. And then the millions of Chinese that there are, as if they never existed. In Africa, as if they never existed. That is because of the great mercy and love of God for them. Now the rest, because they were a little more wicked, just because they were a little more wicked, a little more spicy, a little more malicious, or they didn't want to accept, or they really overdid it with wickedness, they're going to be resurrected. Which are, he says, there's so many that they cover the entire earth. Ellen G. White is seeing this in a vision. So then she sees them, and it's like they are as the sand of the sea. And what do those people do? Why does He resurrect them? He resurrects them to punish them again. It wasn't enough that they died. It wasn't enough that they won't have salvation. No, God in His great love and mercy resurrects them and says, hey boys, tell the truth. You understood that I was your God in Christ. Then, at that point in time, they all kneel and they say, yes, it's true, now we see it. But even if they kneel and see Him, there's no salvation. There's no salvation. So then amongst them, seeing that there's no salvation, they get together amongst them, and the devil comes. That's where the devil comes, and he says, hey, look, God is going to kill us all. Unless we join together, we're way too many. We're like the sand of the sea, look. We're way more than Him. They are nothing. They are just a group of Adventists, and God, they are nothing. They really are nothing. And look at what we are. We are millions upon millions of what they are. So then what we're going to do is we're going to get together, and we're going to have a plan. We're going to create weapons and all. It says, Ellen G. White says, and God gives them a time. And he says, we're going to design weapons, war weapons, and we're going to take over the city. That is the only chance that we have, the only one we have. We're more than them. We're way too more. We're wicked. We're macho. We're going to take them. Tell the truth, there's no other option. So then they make weapons. They get organized in a war, and the attack begins to the New Jerusalem. When the attack to the New Jerusalem begins, from God descends fire, and the whole earth becomes a sea of fire, what they call the lake of fire. Everything burns, except for Jerusalem. It's as if it just stands in the air, floating, protected from the fire. It's no longer an ark like that of Noah, that it navigates in the waves and everybody drowns. Now, the ark is the New Jerusalem, with the Adventist within, and they are now going above the waves of fire because everything burns. And with the people dying, also the whole creation dies and burns. So then the whole earth, they think it's a globe. The whole entire globe burns. Like one day it was a great flood in the water, now it is covered with fire, because from God fire descended, and he converted everything into a hot ball of fire. So as to not just burn and kill the human beings, kill Satan and his angels, and kill any glimpse left of this creation, so that when that cools down, it is left to be a new creation. So then they believe that God, before them, starts to create everything again. From the trees, the sun, the stars, everything, the animals, everything from zero. The way I'm telling you, that is how they told me. And I believed it, which was worse. And I would die on that hill defending that truth and live my life not knowing clearly where I would end up, if on the side of those fighting, when I would do things that were not correct for the Adventists. So then I would get onto the other side, but I was going to be burned in lava, or if I was on the side of those that were within the city. What I'm telling you happens to all the Adventists. Adventists, it's a race, and I'm calling it a race because of the way of thinking that they have. That is absolutely unrighteous, because if they would stop to think, there must be one saved every billion people. It's complete insanity. Anyway, the rest of the religions also believed something similar, not so drastic, but something similar. If you're Catholic, you say salvation is in a Catholic church. You're Protestant, then you have left the mother church. You're heretic. If you're heretic, you'll be punished. Maybe not with complete hell, but maybe some place that will reform you a little softer. The Catholics are a little softer. And then with the new popes, they made alliances with the Hindu religions and other Jewish religions. So then they start to soften down a bit. An Adventist cannot even shake the hand of a politician, because they go crazy. If he shakes the hand of a Catholic, he is joining the beast. That is how the Adventists see it. If I were to see an Adventist pastor shaking the hand of a cardinal, that's it. The church is already joined Babylon. It's become Babylon. It's GG. And if you're a pastor, how are you going to shake the Pope's hand? No, you should strike him in the face instead of shaking his hand as an Adventist. But to shake the hand of that Pope, no. As if you're shaking the hand of the devil himself. You can't. That is condemnation. And I would remember when the ministries, because the Adventist church, it's like a world. Little ministries that are more drastic open up all the time than the same church itself. And that's how we have those of the gambetta, the boar people, the shepherd's rod, and a lot more. That's how the eternal truth came out always. But no, the eternal truth didn't come out as Adventists. We renounced the Adventist church. I'm referring to those that continue to say that they're Adventist. They still claim being Adventist. We never said we're Adventist. Okay. Those groups alternate like the reformers and all the rest. They're a lot more exclusive because they say the church is Babylon. And those that'll be saved, just ask Gambetta. How many of the church will be saved? No, the Gambetta people say the church is lost. It's Babylon. They've joined the Catholic Church already. And if they are able to get a picture of an Adventist pastor shaking the hand of the Pope or somebody of the Vatican that said it's over, this is the end. They have signed the Dominical Republic. I'm so sick and tired of listening to the Dominical laws that they've been signed, it'll be issued, and it is the insanity of the religions. So then, no matter what variety you have, no matter what variety you may have and earn a degree, a level of injustice that is greater than others, mind you. The Adventists and the drastic ones advance in their level of injustice because if already you don't do this or that, if you're not a vegetarian entirely, then the hell awaits you. If you don't do this, hell awaits you. I had heard Adventist groups that had told me, look, the time has come of not having any more sexual relations between the matrimony, in the matrimonial bed anymore. It's a sin already. And they advance into things that are absolutely nefarious. And that is how they start to measure the rod of righteousness. Once we start to see that all these religions have been an invention of the Creator, every last one of them, an invention of the Creator, we cannot see under any circumstance defend the Creator. That is what is difficult. I've told you that ever since I was little. If you are Christian, they make you pray. Let's imagine something. Let's imagine that there is an owner of a field that's very powerful, and your life or your death is in his hands. So then every morning, in order to keep the control, he has trained all his slaves that they have to come before him and bow down. As soon as they get up, they have to come before him and say, thank you, owner, for allowing me to sleep and giving me life. Thank you, master, for giving me a place to sleep. Thank you, master, for the food you give me. Thank you, master, for the job you give me. Thank you, master, for giving me life, because you could have taken it away. So then, every time the master, since they eat, the master has trained these people to have to kneel down and say, thank you, our beloved master, because we have food to be able to eat, because there's so many people that don't have food to eat, but thanks to our master, we can eat. And just like that, just like Christianity, but directed to one person, I want you to picture this, imagine this, and when the night comes, to go before the master, which this time it's physical, to kneel down and say, our beloved master, thank you for having given me the opportunity of working. Thank you for having given me the opportunity of eating. Thank you for giving me a life, because my life is in your hands. You can take it away whenever you want. And thank you, because now I can sleep. That would seem a terror story that's completely insane. I would say this is not slavery, it's complete terror. We do agree, right? Inconceivable, right? It's inconceivable to have slaves already, but it's even more inconceivable to have the slave kneel before his master every day. And sometimes the master punishes him, because sometimes he wants to punish him. So then the master has to say, I accept your punishment. Is it a test? It is a test to make me a better man, to make me stronger. And sometimes the master makes him go hungry. And he has to plead the master and tell him, there is no evil that is not for a good reason. Everything that the master does are for good. He has to repeat it. He has to repeat it no matter what happens. If The master kills his son. If the master kills his son, he has to kneel down and say, "Sir, Lord, I know life is in your hands. You know what you're doing, and everything you do it's for my own good." I want you to think about that. It may seem something insane, but I want you to think about it. Well, even if it may seem something insane, every religion has done that. Even fucking God. Even the son of a bitch, God. That's what's difficult to break. What do I have to say bad words? I don't have to. But I have learned in sports and in everything else that in order to unlearn something that's incorrect, you have to do the contrary, even though the contrary is not so recommendable if you do it well. But in order to break a habit, you have to go to the extreme. You can't do it correctly, directly. I want you to understand that because many people don't. That's why I have the ability of teaching things that or else you would never have learned. When you have a bad habit of something, that you have to, it could be in sports, could be in whatever, or in your life. The correction of that habit is not enough to correct it, to do it only, just simply correct, because the brain starts a correction and it takes a long time to make that correction. It takes a lot less time and it's recorded even faster when I go from what's normal to the almost unrekindable contrary. It works that way. Someday up ahead I'll give you examples, but it works that way. So then, if I were to tell you God is not so good, but God has a plan for our life, which is to give us a world. He has a plan, but He has done things. It doesn't have that effect of saying God is a son of a bitch. He's a complete dog shit. He has cursed you ever since you were born. He's killed all human beings. Why do I have to go to that extreme? First of all, because it's true. I'm not exceeding myself. There's nothing that I could exceed myself with God. Of all the hurt He's caused, I cannot exceed myself. I could care less what He says. And another is that your mind has to comprehend that you have been a slave, that you have been pleading and thanking a being that has enslaved you, dominated you, violated you, crushed you, cursed you, and is killing you up until this very day. You cannot go softly. You have to go with everything, or else just stay the way you are. So then these people that have left, I understand what happened. Maybe it's happening to you. And I'll use it as an example. When I started to speak, I would kneel before the subject, and after the subject, I would thank for everything, I would give glory to God. Throughout the years, when I started to comprehend bit by baby steps, I would no longer kneel. I would pray here, sitting down, from the beginning to end. Then I continued to advance in baby steps, understanding the truth. But we advanced. No longer did I pray anymore. Of the end, for example. And then, not even the one from the beginning. Question is, what has happened in your life? Because if you were listening to me during these 15 years and you weren't advancing in a group, and you have yet, when we start to speak about God during these last years, we start to speak about God, about who we are, and all the rest. If you continue to practice religious slavery, of course, you won't be able to comprehend it. Because you did not take the necessary steps. You weren't as drastic enough. When I talk to you about how you should no longer pray, you should not pray anymore. If you continue to pray to God, you continue to ask God, you have not been able to break the relation of master and slave. You didn't see whom you were praying to. You didn't see it. You still ask the monster who placed a poison in you for you to die. Because I have a poison that is killing you just like you are. We last as long as we last because a poison is of a lengthy effect. Little by little, but for sure every day. Every day we die a day and we have one day less to live. Every day that passes by, no matter how well you feel, it is one less day you have to live because you have poison inside that you didn't place it in there, that it wasn't given to you by your parents because they wanted to, but it was given to us by the Creator. That poison is enough to never in life worship Him. When you open the conscience to, even if He's your Creator, He's your torturer, your assassin. If you cannot notice that detail, but really see it, and you're still kneeling before God, no matter for what reason, either to thank or to ask, you cannot escape the assassin. That is why the people of 15 years of listening to me have left. And careful that you're not the next one to leave. It does not affect me. I comprehend you. Those who have to leave will leave, but I'm giving you the secret of why they leave. They left because they heard me and they made logic, but they did not break away the lasso with the assassin. It's as clear as that. You have poison in your brain, in your cells. He has given it to you. Why do you continue to ask Him for things? If your death is assured, what are you asking for? An extra day to live? What are you asking of Him? Life for your mom, for your dad, for your mom, for your children? Are you asking the one who poisoned you? The one who poisoned your son to save his life? To save momentarily his life, because he already gave him a death sentence for the one you're praying for. He already has the death sentence inside. Not just that. Death sentence was fulfilled in every brethren of ours from Adam and Eve. The death sentence was fulfilled. That's more than enough. To rebel against that Creator, it's more than enough. To say, I won't speak to you anymore. I won't speak to you anymore. Period. You're killing me anyway. Why should I ask for salvation? You have never saved a soul, and you won't save anyone ever. Because you're not a saving Savior. You're an assassin God. The saving God is the Messiah, and you're not the Messiah. You're the Creator, and you're the assassin. You're not the God of justice, and you're not a saving God. Once we understand that, we no longer ask for salvation, pardon, and we no longer thank the assassin God. If in your mind it is not clear what I'm saying, if my words are not absolutely clear in your mind, you will leave. Because it takes some time in which you will see God, and your attachment, what attaches you, God, they're so strong that you unbind yourself from your brethren. You know what's sad about this situation? What's sad is that you turn your back on your brethren, those who have died, because it is necessary to be on behalf of mankind instead of God. The Bible says it is necessary to obey God before men. No, that's part of the deceit. It is necessary. You should be on behalf of your human brethren, no matter what they think, then on behalf of God. If you don't understand that, when we say, I cannot condemn nor curse God, I cannot. What you're actually doing is cursing all the human race of your brethren, because you cannot bless God and be on behalf of God, your kidnapper, and also of the whole world, the kidnapper of the world, the father of lies, and say, No, I cannot be against God. What you're doing is being against all the human race. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. But you make your own decision. I understand it because it's so engraved in your mind, so engraved in your mind. In your entrance of so many times you knelt down and you weren't able to stop kneeling, and I'm sure if I had you all here and you were to tell me the truth as you should, I would ask you, did you continue to pray to God? They're going to say, yes, yes. And there's your answer. There's your answer. So then I ask you, are you still thanking and asking for things, pleading, humbling yourself before your assassin? If you continue to do so, and you have decided not to stop doing it, what you have done or what you're doing is to give your back on, turning your back on your brethren. And sooner or later you're going to say, I can no longer do this. I can no longer do this. Either I'm with God or with man. And I, Christian Sylvan, the whole eternal truth, I'm with man. I am with the wickedest of the men. I'm with those that leave. I'm with them because I comprehend them. I comprehend it. I comprehend what this assassin of a creator that we have did. I comprehend the hypnosis that it's produced in my brethren, and I comprehend that they don't comprehend. What I don't comprehend is that there aren't people that can see this, at least some. At least some. I'm on behalf of human beings, the wicked, the not so wicked, and those that are give or take good. In other words, all of them. Before God, they're my brethren. God is our Father, an assassin. He's our Father and our violator in every sense of the word, because he violated our will, violated our mind, violated our true feelings or false feelings, however you want to call it, our integrity, our will, our intelligence, our life. He took our life away from us. Do you understand that? Do you understand that you're dying? It doesn't matter how long you pray. My dad was praying and all the Christians were praying and now they're dead. No matter how long you pray, you're going to die because the sentence and the poison is in you, and God is incapable of taking the poison away from you. Just like that, he can't, because his best servant and deceiver, he kills them. Like Moses, like all the prophets, like all the apostles, and like all who followed the prophets and the apostles. So then, this message was not for those who left, because I know that someday they'll comprehend it. They will. The whole world will. But this, and if they're not listening to me, then it can't be for them, right? If they're listening to me, they can rethink it. Think it over. What steps am I taking that I wasn't able to cut off that love for that God that they imposed upon me? Oh, I still have feelings for him. I still pray. I still respect him. I still ask him to forgive me. You still ask him to forgive you. That's the little detail that the slaves always ask him to forgive them. Also, to be pardoned, because I didn't work as hard as I could. Forgive me because my son died and he is not producing anything for you. Forgive me because I'm eating from your table. That is all those who kneel and ask to be forgiven from Yahweh. And to top it off, they empower Yahweh. Every time they say glory unto Yahweh, they kneel down, they empower him. We, on our behalf, we can no longer exist. We could all die. The eternal truth could die of old age or anything. But this will be recorded forever in the history of this earth, that there was a group that had an end goal in their life, not to obey and to despise our Creator because of his way of conduct, for his attitude, for his religion, to despising. I'm saying, I'm not just saying, well, that's fine. To despise him and to wish for him to leave. That'll be recorded forever. Even if we die, disappear, this which I am saying into the air, which is recorded, even if they want to delete it, and it's already been spread in the word, it sows a seed. And I know that even if people no longer listen to me, in one way or another we're connected, something starts to take a spark. My word. Even if they don't listen to me. You might ask, how can that be? Because we have a connection. We're brethren. We have a connection. And what begins is at least a small, minute doubt in the minds. That is why this is eternal. There's no way to take it away. God has to leave. And this world needs a new God. God the Creator should not be worshipped. God the Creator should not even speak to him. Not ask him for anything. We must say, we want you to leave. Yahweh, we want you to leave. But before leaving, you have to hand over this world and power to rule it. You have to do that not because we're asking for it, because it is written, because you have to have some sort of word. So then, this message was for those who are still listening to me, which could leave. And if they're leaving, they're gone. They could leave. I'll remember them. For me, they're still my friends. For me, if they signed what they signed, they are still valid, but maybe they leave and they don't want to listen to me. Start to check. If they started to walk what we walk, are you still praying to Yahweh? Are you still asking things of Yahweh? Are you still thanking Yahweh for things? Are you asking him to forgive you of something? Those are the points whereby the people leave. We have entered, or we're about to enter. No, not that we've entered. We've entered into a little, but we're about to enter into the month of Etanim. I will now publish in my timeline and Leslie's right now, this very moment. Hold on just a moment. In the meantime, give us a like. Those who have not given us a like, get used to comment. Since you don't pray anymore, since I took you that insanity away, took that insanity away from you to pray to a God that curses you on a permanent basis and that it's killing you, I give you the benefit of taking you from that jail, and I tell you, at least give us a like. Those daily prayers you did, I don't ask you to give me 3 likes a day, just once a week at least, and one in a picture here and there, and instead of making a stupid prayer that makes you more of a slave and that makes you on his behalf, why don't you leave a comment that places us on behalf of a group of ours, of what we are against the Creator. Humanity, when you comment a video of ours, you show us that you're a part of us and that God can fuck off and quickly, and that humans capable of ruling this world may then be the new God, period. Okay, as long as you do that, that is your daily prayer. Aside from saying, I am, I have the power, I have control, sanctified be my name, my kingdom come. Aside from all that, leave a comment. Very well. Now, let us now publish. Let us write. Okay, without anything, that way I don't have to write anything. Here goes the month of Etanim published. 1, 2, 3. What's going on with Facebook now? Yeah, publish. Yeah, it's published. I want it to be public. Okay, I just published the month of Etanim and in my timeline, and now it is shared onto Leslie's timeline. Let us share it onto Leslie's timeline. 1, 2, 3, post, and there it is on Leslie's timeline. The month of Etanim. The month of Etanim. So then, if you start to see the month of Etanim, if you start to see and look at the month of Etanim, where am I right now? Hold on just a minute. Okay. Yom Teruah will begin on the 23rd day of September. In other words, Monday, September 22nd at sunset. Monday, 22nd at sunset, which will be the 29th day of Elul. The moon will be seen. Whether we see it or not, doesn't matter. It's Monday. So then already whether we see it and if we don't, it doesn't matter. We're not going to make a new calendar because the moon is there. The moon is there. And their astronomical part is already there, whether we see it or not. If we see it, it's prettier. Whether we see it or not on Monday, September 22nd, at night, of course, Monday at sunset, when it becomes Tuesday because the days go from sunset to sunset. Yom Teruah begins. So then Yom Teruah officially will be September 23rd, the evening of the 22nd. September 23rd, it'll be the first of Etanim Yom Teruah. Mark that in the calendar because we, Yom Teruah, we respect it as if it were a Shabbat. For us, not for God, mind you, for us. So then it's a day that it's not to work. I mean, you can do whatever you can to not work, and if you have to work, I have nothing to tell you against it. But it's good. It's a non-workable day. Then you are seeing it, right? You do see it? Okay. Then you see Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur means a great day of feast. It's time to eat like crazy. Why? Because God asked Israel not to eat. A day of fasting, a day of anguish, a day of asking to be forgiven. He can shove that well up his divine ass. The day of forgiveness. We don't ask him to forgive us. He is to blame for everything. He has to humble himself, anguished, fasting for 1,000 years. And to have suffered all that humanity suffered. And we'll see whether we forgive him and we'll keep him there as a creator someday. But for us, this day is a day of feast. Yom Kippur is a day of feast, period. It is a day of feast. Why? Because we forgive ourselves. What I say? We don't need any forgiveness from God. God needs to do his own Yom Kippur in his fasting for 1,000 years to see if we forgive him. I'll tell it to you like that. I'll tell it to you like that. So then Yom Kippur is a day in which we eat. For us is a day of feasting. It'll be Thursday, October 2nd. Thursday, October 2nd is a day in which we will gather together to celebrate a huge feast. So then mark it there in your calendar. Mark it in your calendar that it's a day in which I say it as a guide. You do whatever you want. The way we highlight it as a day in which we don't work as slaves. We're all dog shit slaves. You can work, do whatever you want at home or whatever. And if you have to work, then work either way. We avoid to work like slaves. But here, there's no sin or not. I just give you a guide. It's a good day to take it off, to have a day off if you can. We will take a day off, and at the evening, we're going to have a huge feast on that day. And we'll be celebrating. We will be celebrating that we have had a whole year that we blamed everything upon Yahweh. Because last year, we had a celebration with food. blaming Yahweh of every single thing that has ever taken place here on earth with all the reason. So then he is to blame for everything. That's it, it's over. This year, we shall celebrate that it's been a year already since we are no longer guilty. 1 year of non-guilt. And I see that many people, they are still guilty. That's why they go with God, with the blamer. God is the one of the guilt. We take the guilt off of you. Okay, the following celebration is Sukkot. In Sukkot, what can I tell you about Sukkot? What does Sukkot mean? I wasn't thinking about talking about this today, but since we're in the subject, I'll mention it, even if it's a subject for a different day, but I'll mention it. What does the Feast of Sukkot mean? What did I tell you that the Feast of Sukkot mean? Tell me what the Feast of Sukkot means. If you can remember. What is Sukkot? What's Sukkot, Ale? What's Sukkot? Tell me what Sukkot is. Tell me. I told you one sole fucking word. What is that word? Quickly, Hector. What's the word? Come on, Minto. Yes, you not even the boys here know it. Uriel. No, that would be another name of Sukkot. The word of the spirit of the feasts, which I summed up as Sukkot. What is it? Edward, Jamie, Gabriela. Nope. No one? Transition, yes. You read it in the chat, right? Transition. You sons of the rigor. I was going to say something else. Transition. What is Sukkot? Okay, Sukkot is a feast that has never been celebrated in the desert. Did you know that? Because we talk about the feast, what day of the feast, and blah, blah, blah. When have you celebrated Sukkot in the desert? Never. They're already in Sukkot. When they start to celebrate Sukkot, and they didn't know how the fuck to celebrate it, that is how they understood the meaning of Sukkot. God told them that Sukkot means the period of transition in order for them to not forget of when God took them out of the slavery of Egypt and took them to the new earth. So then Sukkot, he says, and you shall live on in tents, remembering the experience you had in the desert. Okay. That's why in the desert, they weren't celebrating Sukkot. They were in Sukkot. If you're in Sukkot, you're not celebrating Sukkot. You're already in Sukkot. How many Sukkots are you going to celebrate one within the other? In other words, what in those 40 years, it was all Sukkot. So then Sukkot is a nefarious feast. You're like, what? Yes, nefarious. It meant the death of all of Israel. That's what Sukkot is, where they were laying and buried in the desert. They came out as someone can come out from the border waiting for a new land in the new land or in the north, and they are left buried in the desert, dead, killed by animals or by men, or drowned in the Rio Bravo, or because they starved to death, or because of the sun strike, because the dream of getting to a new land, they died. Only those below 18 years old entered. No one else. The rest died. The entire people died. That's what Sukkot is, because it is the transition between the land of slavery unto the promised land. And you die in that transition. It's as simple as that. It's very simple. We always celebrated it. Oh, how beautiful. Okay. I have a message to tell you. We were celebrating it wrong, because we were celebrating once again Sukkot when we lived a fucking Sukkot every fucking day of our lives. And I use those words so that it has more of an impact. Every day we live, we're in Sukkot because we live. And die in the hopes of entering into the promised land. And we never enter. Where are we? In this fucking transition. Is it that way or not? That's where we're in the fucking desert, where there's nothing. Just like that, there's nothing. There is no hope of life here. Nothing, nothing. We have to be avoiding the arrows from the tribes around the one pinch us with arrows. And tell the truth, there's nothing. We don't even have what we can say properties because we're in the desert. There's nothing. We are spiritual nomads as well as physical. I have nothing. Even if some of you may have a little house or something, that's nothing. It's not like the rich of this earth have nothing, absolutely not. Maybe you have a little hut, but it's still a hut. So then, we live in Sukkot. From here on out, we never again celebrate Sukkot. We used to celebrate it wrong. We're celebrating a transition when we're still in that transition, just like Israel. They were in the transition. They weren't celebrating Sukkot because they already lived in tents. They weren't coming out of them tents to make another tent and celebrate Sukkot. Just imagine. They were already in Sukkot, in tents. So then when they got to the promised land, let's suppose, very romantically speaking, because it happened very much after they started to celebrate, that once in their fucking life they lived in tents. So then they said, look, we made our houses, now we live better. The sun is no longer burning us. The food, we don't have to be pleading God or taking it out of a stone and insulting the rock in order for it to come out because we're starving or dying of thirst. We desired meat, and every now and then they gave us the quail and that and all. They would kill us, or the serpents would kill us. Now we live in our houses. They said, well, now let's remember. For 7 days only, or 8, we'll remember. Yeah, 7 plus 1. We'll remember how our ancestors lived. That's what Sukkot is. Someday, when we want to, in the new millennium, when we have rebuilt whatever we want to rebuild, and we live a lot better than this, infinitely so, we'll say, hey, do you remember our previous life under the government of Babylon? Do you remember that? Okay, let us have a type of celebration, if we want to do it. That would be the sense of it. Let's have a tent, live in the tent, whatever, to remember where we came from. That's what Sukkot is. Now, we have nothing to celebrate it about. Zero celebration of Sukkot. So then, while I speak these words, those present are finding out that we always celebrate from 2011 up until now. 2011, and in 2011 we celebrated twice. So that one is double. Celebrated once there, and then here. We thought the day was wrong, whatever. We celebrated twice in 2011. So then we have 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 15 Sukkot that we've been celebrating. Well, this year we will no longer get together. This group is finding out along with all of the eternal truth. You have no obligation whatsoever of going out from the commodity, which is an incommodity of your house. We don't even know what commodity is. Of the quote-unquote commodity of your house to go and celebrate something inferior. And you're celebrating where you were when. Every time we go out and celebrate in huts is when we were when. Oh, we're in our ancestors. We're in Israel. No, I'm not going to celebrate that. They can all... I'm not going to say anything. But the Torah is dog shit. I'm not celebrating that they were in the desert. Wow, no. We make our own feasts. Sukkot makes no sense to celebrate it. What I will do is to have a feast in the future. I'm going to invite, at the beginning of Sukkot, all our group here, the beginning will be Tuesday the 15th. Tuesday the 15th of Etanim, in other words, the 7th of October. Tuesday the 7th of October, we'll get together and have a good Argentinian asado. We'll get together, have a feast. We'll then finish, everyone goes home, and we won't see each other again till the Sabbath, and then every Shabbat after that. But we're gonna just do like a reminder for all those that we celebrated, and a reminder that someday maybe we will celebrate it. So then right there, the initiation as a celebration, because we want to celebrate, because we shouldn't celebrate anything, just as a celebration, just out of good vibes. I'm gonna invite you to eat an asado, and that day will be as if we're remembering Sukkot, but already forget it. Sell your tents, whatever you want, but we no longer get together in tents. We will not go through that insanity that we're celebrating what? If we live in Sukkot every day, you wake up and you say, I'm celebrating Sukkot. Oh, yes, I was born in 69, and I'm in Sukkot of 69. In 69, I'm in Sukkot. And it would seem that if things continue like this, we're going to be left in the desert. Just what happened to the people of Israel. Give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. That's Sukkot. I will never again celebrate it until I have entered into the new land. So then, you already know, you can freely work during that week. Just like that, I'll repeat this again. During Sukkot, you can work, don't make plans. I'm going to ask for the week. No. Work normally. Take it off if you want to. That would be up to you. But work normally. There's nothing to celebrate. There's no Shabbat to celebrate. So then you already know. This Tuesday, October 7th, which is the 15th, I invite you to eat an asado. Not you listening to me, because you're way too many. You're way too many. Those listening to me in person, I invite you to eat an asado. We'll eat, drink something, we'll have fun, we'll say jokes, listen to music, and we'll make it as a celebration just because we want to. We shouldn't even celebrate that, mind you. And the rest of the week is free. You can work, do whatever you want, except for the Shabbat that we get together again. So then, that is the implementation of the spirit of the feasts of Sukkot. Sukkot is non-existent as a celebration. We live Sukkot every day of our lives, and I hope we don't have to die in the desert. I hope so, because it's even more unforgivable against that son of a bitch, even more. I would add something that would make it unforgivable. We're not willing to forgive that. If he takes our life away here, those of you listening to me and you're alive, I am not willing to forgive him, because I already know his game. I know all his fucking lies. So that's it. His plans are over. His plan is over. So then, if he kills us in the desert, the day that he resurrects us, whomever, the Messiah, whatever that resurrects us, that son of a bitch, there's no more forgiveness for him. Just like that, no more forgiveness. Because we already know his game. We've discovered his game. We no longer, with our mental power, even though we don't have the power to revert it spiritually, I undo every curse that Yahweh has placed on us. Even though I don't have the real power to undo it, although I may not have it, but spiritually, it is my wish. I undo every curse that Yahweh placed upon women. I undo every curse that Yahweh placed upon man. Every curse that he placed upon us as a religion, as a torture, all that is undone. Yahweh, all those curses go back on your head. And I'll repeat this. Though I may not have the power to make it into effect, because I would do it in the blink of an eye if I had the power, the mental power of saying it is so beautiful. It's so beautiful to say, I no longer accept your curses, Yahweh. Shove them up your ass. I could give a fuck about your God, what you said. I could give a fuck about anything. Just like the Mexicans say, me vale madre, like I don't give a fuck, in the Mexican way of saying. Son of the verga, like they say in the Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what. I don't feel it that way, but I could give a fuck about what you say. I could give a fuck what you say. All your words that you've said, let them fall upon your own head, Yahweh, because we may not have your power, but we may speak. And our power, even if it's limited, I don't not know yet the depth of what our words can do, because my words have made you change. They made your opinions change. They took you out of the church, made you a different person. So then it has some power, and I don't know what power my word has in this world, but I'll say it. Your curses, Yahweh, are annulled. Not just annulled. Let them fall upon you for 1,000 years. For 1,000 years. For you to drag yourself on the ground and eat dirt like a snake, and for you to feel every pain that we and our brethren have felt. That you feel anguish, pain, fear, all those things. For 1,000 years. At least. For you to feel like a woman feels. For you to feel like a man feels. For you to feel everything that we feel because of your fault. And because you have not given us the truth. Whether it's your plan or not, your words made them return to you. If you repeat that which I've just said, give or take, with your own language, and you launch it into the atmosphere, into the ether, like the flat earthers say, I like that it's the atmosphere, it's the air. They launch it into the air, to the ether. It's a vibration that gets and they get to God. Can you make them upset? I could give a fuck. A flying fuck, just like that. There's no more respect or fear. Very clearly. Fear of Yahweh, nah. The fear of Yahweh is over. There wasn't a time, no longer. Just like that, no longer. So then, the word is, accursed be thy name, Yahweh. Accursed be thy name. And every curse that you placed upon us, may it fall upon you and may be reverted upon you. That is my wish. That's my prayer. Accursed be you. Accursed be you. The curse you placed on me, that poison, may it fall upon your head. On your head. That poison of growing old, may it fall upon you. For you to become an old, ancient man of 1,000 years old. For you to look old. For your flesh to be falling off. For you to lose your vision. For you to lose your sense of smell and your hearing, you son of a bitch. Your mobility. For you to lose the reason and become senile. And that someday we'll have mercy upon you and go and save you. That's the only way in which we will forgive you. There's no other way. Go through what we went through. Becoming how my mom is now, a being that can't even recognize her son that she bore, to look at him and to cry because she doesn't know my name. That is what you have to become, Yahweh, and suffer it. That is what you must turn and become, you son of a bitch, is what you made us. And if you don't think the way I do, it is very difficult to listen to me. I understand. I don't condemn you. I didn't condemn the most wicked, not even the most wicked of humanity. I just condemned that son of a fucking bitch. That's the one that I condemned, the one that I prayed to so many countless times. That is why countless times now I will curse you every day of my life. I will live to curse you, you son of a bitch. Yod, hey, Vav, hey, Yahweh, Jehovah, God, however the fuck your name is, accursed be thy name. Accursed be every second of your fucking life until you give us the power. Until you go and you leave and give us the power. And I am on behalf of every human being. Every human being, from the wickedest of them all. Of that one, I prefer them than Yahweh. Prefer them over Yahweh. Why? Because they never knew the truth. And Yahweh, you son of a fucking bitch, you are the creator of this light. Of course you know the truth. You deceived us. You violated us. You have tortured us, made us slaves of your fucking religion when you were able to make us love you and admire you and receive life. When the fuck you ever gave life, Yahweh? That's why you who leave, think. Did Yahweh give your life or is he taking it away? And you get on behalf of that son of a bitch, that ancient of days. I want to see him with my eyes for him to rot being old, for him to feel what we feel, because he made us go through that. And that is what justice is. That is what justice is. The worst of all is that he deceived the whole world. There you have it. Sukkot is fucked off. For what reason? Because I live every fucking day of my life in Sukkot. Shemah Israel, YHWH Eloheinu, Ekhad. Unfortunately, here, O Israel, Yahweh, our fucking creator, Yahweh is one. A cursed being, despicable being that should fuck off, but he's one. That is what the text says. That is what the text says. Let's see how many leave today, because sometimes I advance a little bit more in the definitions of God. And if I didn't bother you before, because I was softer, it was a little bit like that, just up until, but when you're like, oh, now you crossed the line. I was accepting for you to say that God is evil or that he's unjust. But everything you said today, I cannot accept. Well, I'm on your behalf either way. Even though you don't accept, and if you say I'm a son of a bitch, I am on your behalf. No matter where you are, you're my brethren. You're my brethren, period. You don't have to do anything. I am on behalf of you. Someday you'll recognize it, and that gives me lots of pleasure. Someday you'll recognize it. Proverbs 25:2. It is the glory of that son of a bitch to conceal the word. Yet the honor of the king of the Messiah is to discover the word of that son of a bitch. It's a new version. I'll tell it to you later. That one that's kind of hidden. Jeremiah 16:19 says, my new God, my strength and my stronghold, my refuge in the day of tribulation. Unto thee shall come the peoples that knew God from the ends of the earth, and shall say, wow, wow, only lies was the inheritance of our fathers. Vanity to which there is no avail, it was of no profit. If it is man, we ourselves made ourselves gods, and we believed in these fucking sons of bitches gods. Then they're not gods for us. Never again. They are dead. They will not resurrect. That is why, behold, I will show them, this time I shall show them the strength of mine arm, and they shall know, they will know for the first time who the God is, who inherits this earth, the new God. Very well. The invitation that Leslie shared, which is spectacular. It is a terrible, huge owl, bigger than my chickens. An owl. Leslie was there, Angelina and I were there to take the picture in the back. We said, look, according to my cell phone, there was a chance for us to see the moon here, or else we would have to fly off onto the park. It's kind of close, there was time, but if we could see it from home, we like it better. So then we were waiting, and Leslie says, hey, look, it's right there, right there, right there. So we took the picture, 5 minutes that we could see it for 5 minutes, and it came down of the mountain, what you saw in the picture for 5 minutes, but we saw it clearly, the moon. And with camera in hand, when we were coming from the back to the house, there's a very huge pine, an enormous pine tree. From the top, who saw the owl? Was it you? Mom. It was Mom, right? One of you saw it. Okay, it was Mom, right? You saw the owl. It was Leslie. We called that an owl. It was a huge owl right there. The owl. And Leslie took many pictures, taking advantage. So then we were looking at the moon. Where we were looking, it was where the moon was. We came to see the sunset. What a beautiful little bug to have it here in my house. And sometimes we hear it at night, 3, 4 in the morning. So we hear it. How they hoot. They go, how? Woo. Weird. Woo. And I was like, who is that bug? It's scared to come out because that owl could probably pick me up. And I'd have to struggle with the owl. It was a huge one. I'm saying not like a horse. It was pretty big. It was like this. A huge owl. I was scared. Sophie, come here. I was scared for Sophie. That one will pick up Sophie and snatch it away. But they don't eat that. No. They don't eat the chihuahuas. Yeah, they do eat all the other, like the chipmunks and those who worship God. Okay, that is the text of the invitation. Matthew 25:31 through 32 says, when the Son of Man cometh in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then he shall sit in his throne of glory, and they shall be gathered together before him all the nations. And he shall set apart one from the other, as the shepherd sets apart the goats from the sheep. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand side, and the goats on his left hand side. Spectacular, absolutely marvelous text. I didn't talk to you about Boca today. Why? Because they play tomorrow. We play tomorrow, and I don't know what time. Let me tell you now, against Aldo City. Aldo City is a team that I personally did not know because they ascended during this championship. They're from Mar del Plata. We have to go there. That's what's beautiful. It's precious there in Mar del Plata. For Mar del Plata, it is where the city, and that is where Boca is going there to play against Aldo City. They're not doing what we have to with them easily because it's a team that just went up into the first, and they're going to descend just like the way they ascended if they're continue on the path they're at right now. Okay, let me tell you when we play tomorrow. If this is working, let's see. Tomorrow at 10:30. What? Is this okay? No, it cannot be 10:30 in the morning. 10:30 in the morning? 10:30 in the morning, California. I'm doubting. Maybe it's not giving me the correct time. Anyone know? Hey, let the boys to give me the hour in Argentina. What do they post? Oh, the 14. So then at 10:30 for sure. No, 14. Yeah, 10, 13, 14, 10:30. Tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. until they play, okay? You have to get up early. You have to get up way early tomorrow. No, for real, tomorrow 10:30. Tomorrow they play. Boca plays in Aldo Civi in Mar del Plata, a team that just went up into the first league, and they're gonna descend if they continue to play that way. We play against Aldo City. More than that information, I cannot tell you. At 10:30 a.m. Wow. How early? Right, 14:30 in Argentina, 2:30, and it's 4 hours difference. 10:30, yes, sir. Wow. At 10:30, Boquita plays. I hope we win. Cavani scored a goal. There was no way of doing anything else because it was coming to the goalpost and it was right there in the head post, and there's no way to even kick it out. It's a goal that I would say against almost, because he didn't want to make it, but he made it. So then it's against his will. His will was to take it outside of the field, but he wants to take it out, but he makes it against Cavani. Cavani has to go to the bench. I don't know why he's playing. We're playing always one player down, plus Cavani, without a coach. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Take Cavani out, please. No matter if he scores like that. Doesn't matter. They have to take that guy out. And if you want, at the end, you put him in for a half hour just to make him feel happy, the Uruguayan guy. That's it. It's over. To recognize his career, that's it. It's over. No, and to take No longer let him be the captain, and then at the end of the year tell him, hey, you know what? Those $3 million that we pay every year. Look, for the new season, we offer you $100,000. You want to play? You can play. If not, well, that's it. You can leave. That's what you should. Just offer him a little bit. It says you're old. You don't score on anyone. You score against, and they have to bounce on the goalpost. They have to bounce against the goalpost. That's how you score. You earn a little less, and you stay. Otherwise, it's GG. That's it. It's over. Palacios. He played pretty well, acceptable, pretty decent. When Palacios plays bad, I get so upset. But now he played pretty decent, mid. It was something like out of the ordinary, but he put a little more effort at least. Maybe he didn't go and dance, got drunk, as they say. He's such a drunk. He comes hungover. That must be. He didn't get drunk that day. He played pretty well. So then, if that's how Palacio plays, then my opinion about him will change. He'll revert it. But he has to continue to grow. He continued to grow in wisdom and in grace, in ability, in skill, in passing, in scoring fearlessly. So I have to recognize Palacios played a little better than usual. He that does not play better, and I'm ashamed of, it's he's so bad I forget his name. What's his name? We pay Velasco. That's the guy. Velasco is Velasco, but either way is it sounds like nauseous in Spanish. You can't. I don't get it. We should put him in some other club. There's no turn of the page. If he's not going to Boca, he's not going to Boca. That's it. It's over. Okay, coming out of Boca, and we go back into our study. John 6:63. The Spirit is what quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words which I have spoken unto you, they are spirit and they are life. That is why I tell you that even though we may not have any apparent power or whatever, we may have even more power than we think. Because if I don't want to give the word, I don't want them to block the video. If what do you call these guys? I don't want to say a DOC. I don't want to say that. The white robe priests. What do you call it? A priest. A white robe priest. A white robe priest reading any dog shit paper. He has power, and his power, depending on how much the person believe and have faith in him, he has the power of life and death if the person believes it. Then there's a lot of power in the word. That is why I said what I said. Because I believe in the word. And Yahweh has to hear me. No matter if he abandons that, we don't give a fuck about that. I want him to leave for 1,000 years. Fuck off. Not just for a little bit, for 1,000 years. But to leave what he promised. Now, there's power in our word. There's power. The only way of starting to revert things is for you to repeat the things that I say. It's true what I'm telling you. If you dare to say what I say audibly so, into the air, accursed be thy name, Yahweh. Accursed be ye for poisoning us. I annul and cancel your curses. You can read his curses, which are all of them. I cancel them with my word. If you say that into the air, not thinking it, one thing is you can have a reaction in your mind because they're going to say, no, I'm not going to say that. No, I'd have to be crazy to say that. But if you dare to say that, you're going to feel a reaction. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel an emotion. You're going to feel it. It's a strong emotion of your whole life to have been praising Yahweh, not to curse him. It's a strong emotion. It's not for everyone. But you should start to practice it. Why? Because we are reverting his curses. He had no problem in saying, accursed be women. He had no problem in saying that, mind you. Cursed be man, and he's going to eat with the sweat of his brow until he comes back, returns to earth. He had no problem. So then I have no problem in saying, accursed be thy name, Yahweh. As whatever the fuck your name is, Yahweh, Jehovah, whatever your name is, you. Cursed be thy name. He that made this fucking dog shit book, you liar. Who cursed us? You have power about my life. You be cursed. It starts to come out with faith. With actual faith, you will feel something, an emotion. You're going to experience something. It'll make you stutter, maybe, sigh, have heart palpitations. Some of you, end up kind of crazy. So then, it'll have a reaction in the universe also. Let me tell you, the word said strongly, with authority, takes an effect. Just like the word of a doctor. And the word has spirit, which is spirit, and quickeneth. It's a word that also has punishment and death. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. Say it. Practice it. One thing is to just write it, and another is to pronounce it. Mind you, we're creating something. Creating, and we believe, all of us together, we have to believe to create. Pronouncing it with our word. If Yahweh created the universe with his word, we are also going to destroy the accursed universe of Yahweh with our word. But we have to start to believe that it's powerful. He tells us, look, you're a bunch of idiots. So all this stuff is, but why are we idiots? And I'm not going to play, starting with James and John, Peter. You're all a bunch of fucking idiots. Why? No, Paul wasn't there. He came. Why? They're like, why? James said, why? Why, Lord? Because if you had faith as small as the seed of mustard, you would tell that tree, uproot yourself and cast yourself into the sea, and it would do so. Oh, that's so ridiculous. How are we going to do that? Well, you're not going to do it because you don't have faith. But I, the Creator, am telling you, if you say anything with faith, then you will make a mountain move itself and cast itself into the sea. So for me, the mountain's Yahweh. Yahweh, you son of a fucking bitch. Come and give us the power and fuck off. As you hear me, Yahweh, your curses are no longer, you can shove them up your ass, you son of a bitch. I am on behalf of every human being, every woman, every man that has ever existed here, and we're sick and tired of your curses. They are we no longer accept them, we reject them, and may they fall upon you, all the curses. In fact, accursed be you, Yahweh Creator. Start to pronounce it if you want to be like God. In case anyone is left listening, we have signed a covenant causing all the guilt upon Yahweh last year. And if you weren't present, you missed out on it. I invite you to be an adherent. I'll add your name to that list if you write to me in this video, your name, your country, and your wish of adding your name to these signatures that we left, which was called a covenant of Yom Kippur, a declaration of Yom Kippur 2024, which is when we place all the guilt of the humanity upon Yahweh. If you want to be a part of this, if you like my words, if they echo in your head, then write to me, and you'll have the opportunity, which is priceless. You don't even know what you're doing. You will have profit of all eternity of adding your name in a place where the whole world someday will want to have placed their name. You can see, how did I not know? I would have, that's how the people will say. But The opportunity is today. I wonder if the people don't see the level of aggression that of how God cursed humans in creation that he himself created. Is it that they cannot see the magnitude of aggression that's so great, which is to curse before they're born? I can believe it. It's as if those from Gaza were to worship Netanyahu now, give or take. He cursed them. He has them starving to death. He's having them starve to death. And that no, they worship him. And that from here on out, they worship Netanyahu every day. Exactly. To give sacrifices to him. Leslie proposes or says, is it that there's someone that does not understand the level of aggression that Yahweh has caused in this creation? No. The Christians forget it. We don't even speak to him. But those listening to me leave from here. Those. You don't understand what Yahweh has done to this creation? You don't understand yet? You think it's a God of love that took care of you? That you are a choosing of his, that is privileged, that we're born in a beautiful place because God blesses you while he curses all the rest? Is that what you think you are? Maybe they believe that. They are privileged and blessed. He put cuffs on you. He cursed you. Any Christians can say God is love. Right. It's just that it doesn't matter if it's love. No longer. He cursed you. So then who is to blame? I mean, it's obvious. Who? He cursed you. You wanted to raise that curse. It is so engraved in somebody's mind that God is love, and it isn't so. They worship him out of love. That's not the point. It doesn't matter if you feel love. The point is that he cursed you. And we're sick and tired of that. I wish I had the opportunity of bringing Yahweh to judgment before every Christian and to ask Yahweh, the accuser, who was the serpent who tempted Eve, and for Yahweh to say, I want to see the face of the Christians. And I'm going to ask, but if you were the serpent, then who's Satan? And Yahweh will say, I am. And I made it very clear in the Bible, I am the only one. I want to see the face of the Christians. For that mask to fall off. Not that mask, but that falsehood of concept that they have about God. Because I can imagine the reaction. But God himself to tell them, no, boys, Satan does not exist. He doesn't exist. I cursed you. There's no costume or anything. No costume or anything, of course. And I killed you all. Exactly. Completely. There was no judge or anything for him to curse everyone. Nothing. Now here comes the defender and attorney of humanity. A little 6,000 years too late. 6,000 years too late. But for sure. Late but sure, here we are. The attorney of Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve have an attorney, which is called the eternal truth. Adam and Eve will say, wow, why didn't we know you before? Well, we needed 6,000 years to pass by. 6,000 years in order for the defense of Adam and Eve to arrive. Very well. Yes, it's just as Leslie says, it is very difficult for us to comprehend now what happens with in the mind of these people that leave. What happens? They cannot see the magnitude of what Yahweh did. One of the things that the people that left said is that I cannot blame God. Exactly. People that left this says, I cannot blame God. So then who is to blame? It's you. It is you and I, the ones to blame. It's either his guilt or me. People like me that is putting the guilt upon God. I am to blame for everything. Adam and Eve, Nimrod, which was the first one that rose against God. He made the Tower of Babel. He was so evil. He was so evil. Nimrod. They're all evil, evil, evil. But God, my God, is love. So then that must happen. Terrible, terrible, tremendous, tremendous. Okay. I spoke to you about Sukkot. Well, we're not going to celebrate anything about Yom Kippur or Yom Teruah, mind you. Yom Teruah, the month begins, and it has no importance for us for the month to begin, okay, mind you? It's over. That's it, it's over. All about the solemn feast of the month. It starts, we're no longer those followers of the Jews that were celebrating that. Yes, it is a new year. What do we celebrate? That we are switching, well, we're not switching the year. That is what the Jews do. That's changed the name. A new year for us is precisely in the month of Aviv. That is the New Year. So then what the fuck are we celebrating in the 7th month? Actually nothing. But well, we'll remember Yom Teruah, because Yom Teruah trumpets, we're going to say that it's our message. Yeah, possibly so. I'm not saying that we're not going to go sound the shofar. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that Yom Teruah means maybe someday we'll celebrate it as our message that awoke. Because then later we have Yom Kippur, then we have Sukkot, and then we have Shabbat once again. And the Shabbat is in which we shall enter into the 7th millennium. Yes, possibly we will sound the shofar. Possibly. Whether we see the moon or not, the trumpet shall be sounded. Whether we see it or not, we'll sound the trumpet. And it's in doubt still, okay? I'm not saying that, yes, we're going to... I don't know. I'll think about it. Maybe we do. No, as a tradition, like yesterday. Yesterday we had gnocchis along with Losley of the 29th. I want you to write in the chat right now because you're boring. Maybe some of you. Who ate gnocchis yesterday? Those who did not eat gnocchis, you got a 0. Just like that. Those who did not eat gnocchis got a huge 0. 0. If you ate whatever else except for gnocchis, you got a 0. The gnocchis were made by us. It is a spectacular recipe. You want me to teach it to you? Okay. Bring me the book of my recipes. Let's teach them some gnocchis recipes. I was going to give you a text, but if we're going to continue on with the lies, we have a long time to continue on with these lies. And that won't make you write in the chat to see who's still praying, because I'm going to obligate you to lie. I don't pray anymore. I don't pray. It's better that I don't ask you. Okay, I'm going to teach you how to make Argentinian gnocchis, but this is my recipe, mind you. I've made so many gnocchis of many types, but this one is the one that I've been refining because I don't like them too soft. For them to come undone, I don't like them to be hard as a rock, that they bounce off the floor, dong, dong, like that. No, I don't want that either. I want some that are kind of hard, and then when I bite into it, it has like an al dente kind of feeling. And it's got its trick to make beautiful, delicious gnocchis. It's not simple. It's not simple in the culinary. It's not simple. It takes its hand to make it. Well, it takes its hand to make it, because or else you won't have a good product. You can do whatever, and even if you use the same ingredients, you won't have a good product. So then, how are we going to make gnocchis? This is from 4 to 5 people that eat well. Those that we made here, that I'm going to show you, we eat them in one day. In other words, at noon and at night, along with Brian, we liquidated everything, and it was left over, and quite a bit was left over. It's a good meal. This is for 4 or 5 people, mind you. The recipe that I'm going to give for 4 or 5 people. It's easy. They were so delicious, though. So then this was the recipe that took me time to be changing the ingredients, testing one thing, testing something else. You can reform it later, but try this, and see how good it is. Starting gnocchi, Argentinian gnocchis, Christian style though. Yes. Because maybe you don't like, maybe you look for another one. Okay, let's start. We grab and you weigh on a scale 1.5 kilos of potatoes without peeling, unless they're kind of rotten and you say, well, I have to. Good. 1.5 kilos weighed in the scale. You weigh them before you boil them. In other words, you choose them, you wash them as best as you can. And if they are a disaster with... Okay, the secret is that I don't want to make the water have so much water. You boil it whole, and when you can pierce it with a fork and you can go through them entirely, and then it is ready. Don't overcook it so that it doesn't get all full of water. I want to have puree with the least quantity of water possible. So then the more water it absorbs, the more flour I have to add. That's why it gets hard. So the good proportion of water with flour. So 1.5 kilos of unpeeled potatoes. Boil them and peel them afterward. Then you drain them. That you could have added salt to the water or not, either way, because you're going to add salt either way later. You cast the water out. You can peel them with cold water. Peel them. It is very easy to peel at that point. You just peel it off real quick. It's easy to peel it. You don't need the knife or anything. Once it's cold, well, don't let it cool all the way. Let it be heated. You take the skin off, and when it was already peeled, and you make a puree with a fork or anything. You make the best puree that you can without adding anything, anything that it is dry, as dry as possible. Okay? You put it in a bowl. You're gonna add 2 tablespoons of salt. Then you're gonna add, now this is my recipe, you can use less, 3 eggs. Argentinians use 1 egg and some, I like the egg whole, 3 eggs, 3 eggs. You add the puree, 3 eggs. You add the quantity of nutmeg and pepper. I didn't add any yesterday, and Brian says it's the best ones that I've eaten ever. Some like nutmeg or some others don't. Do not overdo it. If you don't add any, that's fine either way. But you can taste it. One day you can try it, another you don't, and then you see what you like the most. Actually, it has nutmeg. It has and a little bit of pepper, just a little bit, just a little. Don't do it don't overdo it. You're gonna add 1 tablespoon of baking soda, royal baking soda, a whole tablespoon, a huge one, of baking powder. It makes the gnocchi grow a little bit and be softer. Just baking powder to the puree you're making, the one you're mixing things in. You add 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and you're gonna add and weigh in on a scale. You have a scale? I don't have a scale. Well, then buy it and deal with it, handle it. Okay, this is in grams. 700 grams of flour. Don't add all the flour yet. You're gonna measure it. You're gonna measure it because maybe use less flour. Because now I'm gonna teach you how it has to be. So then, but now you separate 700 grams of flour. If you had to peel the potatoes before boiling them, then add a little less than 1.5 kilos, a little less, or I'll put it in there either way. The thing is that later you count It weighs, but it's just a little bit, just a kilo and a half, doesn't matter. You separate 700 grams of flour, you separate it. Then you add the flour, you add at least half of that flour, and I don't want you to mix it up as if you're going to make a bread. Here is the subject. I don't want you to mix everything into mix it, making a uniform dough. No. You grab a little bit. I have these plastic spatulas with which I handle the dough, and I put them in a bowl. Once I have the puree here with the eggs, raw eggs that I mixed at everything. So then you grab, you added the baking powder and then the flour, and you start with something with your hand or whatever. I have little spatulas, and so I start to move the flour around and the puree so that it embraces as if it were a relation of people dating, not too violent, but a soft one. They hug it and they turn around, they dance. I don't want you to mix it completely, but just to delicately embrace it, and they embrace each other. Don't make a whole dough. Don't dough it. Don't knead it. Mix it delicately. There comes a point in which it mix a little bit. I don't want you to do it with your hands like this and you throw it on the. No, like to make a bread. No, not that. Don't knead it. Just mix it. If it has, parts that are not mixed, that's fine. It's all fine. Do you understand what I'm saying? Don't super mix it. It's like that. You unify it a bit. Don't let it be too united. Maybe like your matrimony is, it's kind of separated on some sides and united on the others. Kind of like that. Imagine it like that. Once it's like that, you grab, maybe you used all the flour, the 700 grams, or maybe not. Because if it's still way too wet and it still feels wet and you need more flour, doesn't matter in this case. Let's suppose you didn't use the 700 grams and used 600. Give or take, I'll calculate you use the 700. Let's say you use 600, 650, and you think it's fine, that's fine. You need more flour. You separate more flour in a separate place, so then you grab a little bit like this, a little bit ball like this, then you can look at videos. You can look at a little bit of and you make it, turn it into like a stick like this. You start to stretch it like this. When it's stretched out, and then you stretch it with a little bit of flour without handling it too much. Your mission is to make a fine stick, give or take like this, just so you get an idea. If it's like your finger like this, that's fine. This would be the ideal size. The finger would be the ideal size. Because give or take, it could also be like this one. Yesterday we had some big ones like this along with Leslie. Do you like them big ones like this, huge? Okay, so then you can make it like this, a little bigger like this, and you make like sticks like this with a butter knife. Okay, those that are not, it's just a butter knife. If you don't know what a knife is, I'm sorry, go to school or watch videos what a butter knife is. Those butter knives, once you have the stick made, like this, a little chorizo, like this, fine, like this, like the ones that give or take. You start to cut it, tuck, you cut it as if they were little candies of the size. In other words, if we have, let's flour like this, give or take like this thickness, which they have no need for them to be perfect. They could be imperfect, it could be thinner here, thicker there. Flour everywhere. It's not all so well mixed. There's no matter. So then with the butter knife, that butter knife like this, it is not sharp. It is just for the butter. You start to cut it up like this. Give or take in this size that you're seeing here. A centimeter and a half by a centimeter and a half. Give or take half an inch by half an inch. An inch is way too much. Half an inch, 3/4 of an inch. You cut that little piece, then you grab a fork. Leslie and I bought some wooden pieces that are for gnocchis. Can you bring me one? If you don't have that, don't you worry about it. You can make gnocchis either way. You can make gnocchis either way. My mom made it without that. How did your mom or grandma did it? With the fork? With the fork, you do it perfectly well. We're a little more sophisticated here. Yes. We're a little more sophisticated here. With a fork, you grab that little ball. Grab it. You grab it here with the precise pressure. You have to practice it, and you go like this. And you let it go. Trick like that. If it looks like a little snail, that's fine. If it opens up, you're an idiot. You have to learn to do it. You have to know the precise pressure. This one's a lot better. This one's a lot better, but you can do it either way. You put some flour on there. Then we grab the little piece like this, which is kind of like this one. We place it here with flour. We put our finger here. And then you're going to look at the pressure you need to do this. If you put too much pressure, it goes like that. The idea is for it to get marked and for it to roll. You have to feel that it rolls. If you squish it way too much, it won't roll. It'll just get stuck there. You have to feel that you're making like a little snail. If the dough is way too liquid, per se, too sticky, you can't do it. It'll break. If it's precise with flour, you can make it look very pretty. You'll feel it in your hands, the elasticity, like a gum, and you make it roll, very beautiful. And it comes out, the gnocchi, with this little form. To top it off, it'll be a little hole in the middle. Look at pictures, how it should be. Look at pictures, and you'll see, or else YouTube is filled with videos. Right, this is for the new generation, as Leslie says. But everyone did it with just a fork before. You can do it with the fork perfectly well, exactly. This one is more beautiful because it's not that you don't need it. I didn't even know this existed. In Argentina, those who sold this had this. But in the houses, but companies that would sell them, they had things like this. But no, in the house they make it perfectly well with just a fork. So then, what's important is that I'm giving you the recipe. That's what matters. And how the dough has to end up. It is a super cheap food. You've seen, it's hyper cheap. Who cannot buy 1.5 kilos of potatoes, 3 eggs, and 700 grams of flour? It's super cheap. So then, let's suppose you made all the grams of flour. It is a very good proportion. If you see that it still needs some, I don't believe you, because the 700 grams is the maximum that I've tested. As a maximum, 700. But oh well. You have to look at that. If you see that you added the 700 and it's still wet, it's because you were kneading it way too much. If I knead it and I mix it, like if I'm going to make a bread, in the end of it all, it just all gets wet and I need more flour to be able to give it that effect. You understand what I'm saying? If I don't mix it way too much and I leave it and you see that you still see kind of like that mixed with the puree, that effect makes me to not have way too much flour, not for it to be so hard and to have that little form. The form is practice. It takes practice and you can do it. I have faith in you that you can do it. You'll have to practice it and you can do it. It is very simple. And those gnocchis, I don't want you to do it on the 29th. You have to do it before. So then once you do it well, then on the 29th, it is when you will graduate. And then it's not my day of practice, my day of making it. So then from here on out, everyone practice to make gnocchis. I want to see how you have it. You have no excuse. You don't have to look for an Argentinian place, nothing. I just gave you the most Argentinian gnocchis that exist. They're Chris's Argentinian gnocchis. There's no better recipe than this one. It's spectacular. I'll tell it to you right now. 1.5 kilos of potatoes. You boil it and you make a puree. you add 2 tablespoons of salt, 3 raw eggs, and mix them in there, and you mix it. And a whole quantity of pepper and nutmeg to the taste, if you want to. 1 tablespoon of baking powder, you add it, and you mix it, and 700 grams of flour, and you add little by little, and you mix it as you integrate it without kneading it. You integrate it for it to kind of to mix together. Kind of like the feet of the statue of Daniel, that you had the iron there with the clay. It was there, but not completely unified, integrated, but not completely emulsified. As I've told you, the example that I told you, if you remember which one it was, just like that. Not so unified, give or take, with their differences, give or take. So then you'll see spectacular gnocchis right there. You don't have to have any more than these ingredients, and when the gnocchi's done, you'll make it, you'll add it into a place, not one on top of another. You add a little bit of flour so that it doesn't stick to it, and you always work with the flour. You add flour, you make the little balls like this, long them, you cut them up. Leslie and I make all the ones, and then Leslie makes them. That is how we work in team, and it's fast. And I'll supply that, and she makes them, and that is how we made. Every time we make it that way. We have 2 of these. In case I cut way too much, I'll help her. Or else, I just make the little sticks, cut them up, and she passes them through this, or with the fork. So then you feel, you're going to start to fill them up. Don't put one on top of another. Don't be an idiot, okay? Leave them on a tray. They can touch. They can't be one on top of another because they'll stick together. And add a little bit of flour so they don't stick. And then you got another tray and another one and another one. With 3 trays, give or take, you'll do this whole quantity. And then you put water to boil. You can add salt or not. It has salt already, but you can add a little bit of salt, or else it just has, the water has to have a little bit of salt. Once it's boiling. And when I say boiling, it's boiling to the most, with a little bit of salt and all. There you grab and you put all the gnocchis together. You separate them, you move the tray, and with something you make them slide into the water together. If the water was boiling, it can't take more than 3 minutes. When the gnocchis are floating, they're ready. If you see that they're floating and it hasn't boiled again, leave it a minute or 2 more minutes. But actually, the rule is when the gnocchi floats, it's ready. They float almost immediately, but leave them another minute. If you have a good fire, it's even better. It raises the temperature of the water quickly, once again. And then you can taste them, test them. We're talking about 3 minutes max. And you take them out, you start to dry them. You know how, something with holes, a strainer, a hand strainer. You grab them all together, but since these, as they come out, they come up. I use a strainer, a hand strainer like this. I put it in the water and I pull them out. That's a strainer. That is what I call it, at least. And then for this, you have to have a delicious sauce ready. Make it however you want. I mean, basically, it's with onion, garlic. It could have some Alfredo sauce, basil. It could have butter and basil. Exactly. It's easy to make. I've given you all the secrets for good gnocchis. All the secrets for good gnocchis. I want you to practice it. You eat it with sauce or whatever you want to make that you should have already made. This is quickly. Once you make them, you strain them and it's already boiling, and it's already boiling. It's already boiling when you start to make them like that. You make it boil because they're going to come out quickly. You made the last one. That is where they go into the water. 3 minutes tops, and then take them all out of the water. That's boiling. 3 minutes, and all of them out. And then, however you want to eat them. While you take them out, you add a little bit of oil so that they don't stick together. Remember what I've given you, they don't stick together. They're spectacular. They're fantastic. If you do it correctly, if you do it like I taught you, then tomorrow you make some spectacular gnocchis to watch the Boca game, or afterwards. We'll see if we win. To celebrate the triumph, you make some good gnocchis. Those that have not eaten gnocchis, it is as your job, instead of praying to God, you have to make gnocchis. So then you make some gnocchis, and the punishment, this is a punishment for the sin of not having eaten gnocchis. Sometimes I sin, and we forget. If you buy them, that's fine. Exactly, but to make them, it's such a pleasure, and they're so spectacular. But there's no problem in buying them. I teach you because where are you going to buy them? If they send it, they're expensive. They're not cheap, and something so cheap to make, So then tomorrow, those who have not eaten gnocchi, as a punishment, you have to eat gnocchis for your sins of having not celebrated the day of the gnocchis, which is the 29th day of every month. I think that it's 2 hours and 20. I mean, with recipe and everything, you don't need nothing else from me. You need nothing else from me. What you need to do is to start to pray, and our prayer is towards ourselves and to revert the curses. As simple as that. And we still have to talk. We still have to talk about things about what the justice is. Hear, O my people, my law. Psalm 78, 1-2 says, incline thine ears unto the words of my mouth. I shall open my mouth in Proverbs, but in Proverbs, and I'll explain them. I shall open hidden things, so hidden. Where are they hidden? In the scripture. I shall speak hidden things from times of old. That is what we talk about. We are for the humanity. We don't care about God. And what we care about is for him to leave. For him to leave. We see the dimension of his task in creation. We understand his motives. But we also understand that part of his plan is to leave. And we have comprehended it. And there's no mystery for us. He has made this creation to hand it over to a group of human beings. And we are those crazies. Do you know it, my friends? We are crazy because we think that there is an eternal justice that is called to rule the world. We are crazy because we believe that we are the new God of the earth that will revert the curses and that will bless every human brother that has ever existed on this earth. A flower is born every day the sun comes out. Every now and then you hear that song. As of a delicious bread, delicious to sing in the balconies of the mind along with the cicadas. But in turn, a transformer exists that consumes the best that you have. It casts you back. It holds you back and demands more and more of you. There comes a point in which you no longer want to suck at the liberty's breast. You will always have her within the heart. They may corrupt you. You may even forget. But she is always there. Yesterday I had a dream with the hungries, with the crazies, those who left, those who are in prison. Today I awoke singing this song, which has been written a long time ago, and it is necessary to sing it one more time. Semper Fi. The destiny is written. The end is inevitable. God, the true God, is Argentinian. Let's go LVE. Semper Fi. Let the laurels be eternal that we knew how to achieve. Crowned with glory, let us live, or we swear with glory to die. Hallelujah to every one of you. And always, let's go LVE. Hallelujah. We shall meet again next Shabbat. And also, aguante Boca, let's go Boca. We win tomorrow.